Hey there friends, welcome back to another video. In this video we'll be looking at Salesforce and try to find out whether or not the stock will continue to fall. We're approaching some support levels in price and the stock could rebound or could continue to sell off based on market conditions. For those of you who are new, we're looking at Salesforce and other stocks based on unusual option activity. And we look at unusual option activity because this is where the smart money is going. So I wanted to share with you guys Salesforce this week because it was mentioned in the trade idea of the week from Market Rebellion. And this week they're suggesting that there's some unusual option activity in Salesforce, and they're seeing this activity based on the comments that they have here below because the stock has broken past its 200-day moving average of 222 with 5 cents. And because of this, the stock is approaching its January lows and could potentially continue to go down depending on market conditions. However, they do note that if the stock does have a turnaround, it could see some upside or rebound from these levels. So they're mentioning that it could potentially make a $10 move this week in either direction based on just volatility alone, depending on bullishness or the bearishness in the market. So I think this is kind of an interesting one. When we look at the unusual option volume, we see Salesforce is sort of a little bit mixed. 67% of the options traded are call options, whereas 32% are put options. This is kind of, you could say that it's trending more towards the bullish side. But however, I think a good signal is with any percentage above at least 75%. Sometimes 70% is good, but this is kind of a mixed signal. But nonetheless, it was pointed out by Market Rebellion, so there's a good chance that it might make a move this week. And I think one of the reasons that they're pointing it out is because of the fluctuation in volume versus open interest. So when we look at the volume against the open interest, we see that there was this influx of 1,906 contracts for these in the money, or I guess out of the money put options for Salesforce. In the trade idea, Market Rebellion is specifically suggesting the 217 strike, 217.50 cent strike. However, there is more unusual option activity with the 215, and it could be that they're suggesting the 217 based on their own strategy. However, you can see here any indicator above 1 in the volume of against interest typically indicates unusual option activity for this option. So when there is more volume coming in than there is open interest, it could mean that people are either rushing in to get into this position, or if it's a stock that already moved a lot, it could mean that people are closing out their positions, and so open interest is going down and volume will go up. However, if the stock hasn't really moved and there's a high influx of volume, then it could indicate that people are rushing to get into this position and open this position, therefore the open interest in this particular position. So when we look at the news of what could potentially be driving this unusual option activity, there really isn't much that comes to mind. And I think a lot of these headlines are a little bit dated based on the earnings and some of the market volatility that we've been seeing. So I think this is purely a technical play, and Market Rebellion is pretty much doing a good job of mentioning that the stock has broken past its 200-day moving average. So therefore, we could see more movement either up or down, $10 at least, for based on what they say. So these are kind of cheap right now as well. The 295 is the price for these 217.50 cent puts, and for the calls, it's pretty similar to 75. So not too bad, I think. And so I think this presents a good opportunity. If they are following the smart money, this might be one to keep an eye out for. But as always, definitely monitor the market conditions to see whether or not the market is turning bearish or bullish in either way. So I've summarized for you guys the trade based on what Market Rebellion has mentioned. And you can see here they're kind of laying out. You either trade the calls or the puts based on the conditions of the market. In the bullish market, where people are more optimistic, or bearish market, where there's more negativity, more sell-off, and pessimistic outlook on the market. So the idea really is to either get the calls if the market is bullish or get the puts if the market is bearish. And the contracts that they're suggesting are the March 5th expiration, so this week, for the 217.50 strike price in either direction. And they're suggesting an entry point with the stock trading at around 218.14. So if the stock is slightly above 218.14 and the market's looking bullish, then I think it'd be a good idea to get the call options, and you're seeing this. And if you're also seeing this across the market, then that would be a good idea there. If the market is trending down, then you would want to get in with the stock trading below. And again, seeing some bullish activity in the market or selling, this would be a good entry point. And again, the target levels for each side of the trade would be as follows here. On the upside, you definitely would want to see the stock moving back up to its 200-day moving average. So if there's a rebound after reaching this January low of roughly 215, you definitely want to see the stock potentially go back up to 222 to try to recover from that fall. And on the downside, it's pretty much getting back to these levels of support that were established in sort of January and before, so sometime in August or early September, it looks like. So that is the trade idea right there, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. I also wanted to point out this interesting post from this user in Wall Street Bets, UPDW90. So this user typically highlights the most actively discussed tickers, and I thought it was interesting that Rocket Mortgage is a ticker that was recently discussed on Wall Street Bets. If you look at the most actively traded options, you can see that Rocket is also on there with more bullish activity for this particular stock. So I think that might be another good one to keep an eye out if you guys are looking to find opportunities in the market, which again, this is kind of the goal of the channel, is to hopefully help everyone identify opportunities in the market and maybe, have some fun while doing it. So this is something that I just wanted to point out. You could see whenever there's a pattern of one upside and then another upside, it's almost like a staircase. There's typically a third, or sometimes it traces sideways, but definitely something to keep an eye out for. Rocket Mortgage, I think the options are pretty cheap since the stock price isn't too bad. So this might be a good opportunity as well. So thanks again for watching, everyone. Hope you have a good one.